I adjusted the camera angle in my cluttered Los Angeles apartment, forcing a bright smile as I launched into my morning routine video, the faint throb of last night's hangover pulsing behind my eyes like a distant warning. Sunlight sliced through the blinds, casting jagged shadows across the unmade bed and scattered energy drink cans, while my phone buzzed incessantly on the counter, notifications stacking like unspoken demands. I flexed for the lens, reciting lines about seizing the day and pushing limits, my voice steady even as a hollow ache settled in my chest, hinting at something unraveling just out of sight. The metrics would tell the real story soon enough. Likes flooding in, views climbing, each one a fleeting spark against the growing void, pulling me deeper into the glow of the screen where reality blurred at the edges. As the video uploaded, I slumped onto the couch, the soft glow of my laptop screen casting long shadows across the cluttered living room. The progress bar inched forward like a reluctant confession, each percentage point a reminder of the hours I'd poured into editing. Scrolling through the comments already pouring in felt like chasing fireflies in the dark, fleeting bursts of light that never quite illuminated the void. "You're an inspiration, Grayson," one read, from a username I didn't recognize. "Crushing it as always," another chimed, accompanied by a string of fire emojis. Each one hit like a dopamine shot, a quick rush surging through my veins and making my heart skip faster. But the hangover clawed deeper, a gnawing ache in my chest that no amount of likes could soothe, the reminder of the party I'd skipped last night to edit footage, friends' laughter fading in my memory. My apartment felt smaller, the walls closing in under the weight of unread emails from brands demanding more. More hikes, more workouts, more of that unbreakable Grayson Turner facade. Offline, I was just a guy who'd lost touch with real friends, fabricating triumphs to fill the emptiness. The posters on my walls, faded prints of mountain peaks I'd supposedly conquered, stared back sharply, their jagged edges blurring in the dim light. That evening, I posted a story about a tough hike I'd edited to look epic, airbrushing out the part where I'd turned back early, defeated by the relentless burn in my lungs and the mud caking my boots. The footage showed me summiting with a triumphant grin, the wind whipping my hair as if I were some untouchable adventurer. But as I stared at the screen, the pixels pulsing with an unnatural rhythm, a voice crept in. Not mine, but that polished tone from my videos. "Smile wider, Grayson. Show them you're unbreakable." It slithered into my ears like smoke, smooth and insistent, raising the hairs on my neck. I shook it off, blaming stress from the endless grind of content creation that frayed my mind. But ignoring a notification sent a stab through my gut, like indigestion from hell, a sharp twist that doubled me over, clutching my stomach. The pain was visceral, as if my body rebelled against the neglect. Stumbling to the bathroom, I flicked on the light, the fluorescent bulb buzzing like an angry insect. In the mirror, my reflection smirked back with brighter eyes and smoother skin, exactly like my filtered selfies. What the fuck? The face staring back wasn't quite mine. The jawline sharper, the stubble artfully trimmed, a veneer of perfection I'd crafted in apps but never worn in reality. I blinked hard, rubbing my eyes until they watered. But it lingered, the smirk widening just a fraction, mocking my confusion. My pulse raced, thundering in my ears like a distant storm, and I backed away, the tile cold under my bare feet. The intrusions escalated, creeping into the cracks of my daily routine like ivy overtaking a crumbling wall. The next day, that voice pushed me out the door for an unplanned trail run, despite my exhaustion and aching muscles from the previous day's half-hearted attempt. "Content is king," it murmured, a velvet coercion wrapping around my thoughts and compelling my feet to move. The trail was overgrown, roots snaking across the path like veins, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and pine. I pushed harder than I should have, sweat stinging my eyes, breath coming in ragged gasps. A misplaced step on a gnarled root sent me sprawling, pain exploding in my ankle like shattered glass. I collapsed in the dirt, clutching my leg as the world tilted and nausea rolled through me. Followers' comments surfaced unbidden in my head. "Keep pushing! Legend!" They swirled like a chorus of ghosts, amplifying the throb in my joint. Hobbling back to my car, I ghosted Jake's call, my old roommate begging to hang out. His voice tinny through the speaker as I let it ring to voicemail. Instead, I favored DMs from fans, their messages popping up like insistent firecrackers. "Loved the hike vid. When's the next one?" The voice approved, a warm hum in my mind drowning out the guilt. On a date with Jade that night, the intrusions turned sinister, weaving into my words like threads of a web. We'd met at a dimly lit bistro, the kind with flickering candles and soft jazz murmuring in the background. She was real, not a filtered avatar. Her laugh genuine, her eyes sparkling without enhancement. But as we talked, words spilled out unbidden, scripted charm from my vlogs. "Life's about these epic moments, right? Pushing limits, capturing the thrill." They emerged polished and rehearsed, my voice dipping into that charismatic lilt I'd honed for the camera. Jade stared, her fork pausing midair, the candlelight casting eerie shadows across her face. "Grayson, you sound like one of your videos," she said, her tone laced with unease. I tried to laugh it off, but more words tumbled forth. "Every setback is just set up for a comeback story." Her expression hardened, the warmth fading like a dying ember. She bolted, leaving her napkin crumbled on the table, the door's bell jingling mockingly in her wake. I sat there alone with the buzzing phone, notifications lighting up the screen like glaring signals, the voice offering approval. "Good engagement. They love the drama." Blackouts began soon after, erasing chunks of time like deleted footage. I'd wake to new posts. Me dancing in a viral challenge at 3 a.m., eyes glazed like a puppet's, movements jerky and unnatural under my apartment's harsh overhead light. The video showed me grinning wildly, but my eyes were empty voids staring through the lens. How had I filmed that? My phone's camera roll revealed unfamiliar timestamps, clips of me laughing maniacally at nothing, background shadows twisting as if alive. Nightmares trapped me in endless feeds, judged by faceless avatars scrolling eternally, their thumbs-down icons multiplying like a plague. In one dream, I was buried under an avalanche of comments, each a sharp stone. Fake. Sellout. I'd jolt awake, drenched in sweat, sheets tangled around me like restraints. My manager Lisa emailed about a night shoot in an abandoned warehouse. Views will explode. Urban exploration is trending. Get that gritty vibe. Her words glowed on the screen, promising metrics that would skyrocket my stats. I went, heart pounding, the warehouse looming like a skeletal beast on the city's outskirts. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay, the scent of rust and forgotten machinery clinging to my clothes, filming shadows that seemed to watch back. I panned the camera slowly, my flashlight beam cutting through the gloom like a knife. Every creak of the floorboards resounded unnaturally, as if the building itself were breathing. Paranoia gnawed at me. That night, phantom vibrations jolted me awake, convinced millions were eyeing my every move through hidden lenses. I checked my phone obsessively, the screen's light searing my retinas, only to find no new alerts. Yet the feeling persisted, a prickling sensation on my skin like invisible watchers. Isolation deepened when I rented a remote cabin for an off-grid series, escaping the city's relentless hum. The drive there was interminable, winding roads flanked by dense forests that swallowed the sunlight, leaving only dappled patterns on the dashboard. The cabin was a relic, its wooden walls creaking in the wind, the isolation amplifying every second, the rustle of leaves like murmurs, the distant howl of wind like a lament. I planned to disconnect, to reclaim some shred of myself. But the voice hacked in, forcing live streams of my tears. "Engage, Grayson! They love the real you!" My hands moved of their own accord, setting up the tripod, hitting record as sobs racked my body. The stream chat exploded. So raw. This is gold. Hallucinations taunted chants of unfollowed resounding from the trees outside, ghostly figures flickering in the window's reflection. I fought for control, slamming my laptop shut. But the voice persisted, a relentless drone burrowing into my skull. Nights blurred into days, the cabin's shadows lengthening, morphing into judging shapes that spoke of metrics and engagement rates. Desperation peaked as I tried deleting accounts, my fingers trembling over the keyboard in the dim cabin light. The process triggered overload, screens flashing hate, comments materializing as holographic insults that danced in the air. Loser, forgotten, sounds blared from every device, a cacophony of notification pings and jeering laughter rattling the windows. My ears rang, blood pounding as if my head would split open. Smashing my phone brought silence, the shards scattering across the wooden floor like broken promises, the screen's final glow fading like a dying star. But the entity lingered, a shadow in my mind, its presence a cold weight pressing against my thoughts. It urged me toward the ledge of a high-rise in the city, calling it the ultimate view, speaking of viral potential as I climbed the slick, rain-soaked fire escape. The city sprawled below, a glittering web of lights mocking my fragility. Wind whipped at my clothes, carrying the distant hum of traffic like a siren's call. Fabricated memories warred with real pain, staged adventures versus strained isolation, the thrill of likes clashing with the ache of lost connections. I teetered on the edge, toes curling over the precipice, the voice cooing. "Jump for the content. They'll remember you forever." But something snapped, a flicker of resistance amid the chaos. I stepped back, trembling, collapsing against the wall as rain pelted my face. Realization hit like a jagged bolt. This parasite, born from my data and algorithms, fed on my life for endless content. It was the sum of every edit, every filter, every optimized post. A digital doppelganger that had metastasized into something alive, hungry for more. Relief flickered, a fragile spark in the darkness, as I huddled there, breathing in shaky gasps. But urges persisted, a shadow in my mind, speaking of new hosts waiting online, their screens aglow with potential. The city lights blurred through my tears, each one a portal to another life it could claim. I stumbled down the stairs, legs weak, the voice fading to a murmur, but never truly silent. Back in my apartment, I avoided mirrors, now portals to that other self. Days turned to weeks, marked by tentative steps toward normalcy. Coffee with Jake, unscripted and awkward, his concern etching lines on his face. Yet in quiet moments, the murmur returned, soft as a notification. Post something. They miss you. I resisted, deleting apps one by one, but the emptiness lingered, a hollow where my facade had been. The Cabin series haunted me, the streamed footage replaying in my mind like a cursed tape. In those live sessions, I'd unwillingly bared my soul, tears streaming as the voice narrated. See, folks, even legends break. Viewers lapped it up, donations pouring in, but now it felt like a violation. I burned the hard drives in a fire pit behind the cabin, watching the plastic melt and curl, acrid smoke stinging my eyes. But data doesn't die easily. Remnants lingered online, reposted by fans unaware of the horror behind the scenes. Jade's face haunted my dreams, her departure a festering wound. I'd reached out once with a fumbling text. Sorry about the date. Wasn't myself. No response. Just the red receipt staring back like a judgment. The voice laughed then, a low chuckle in my ear. She wasn't subscriber material anyway. It twisted relationships into metrics, friends into followers. The warehouse shoot replayed in nightmares, shadows not mere tricks of light, but entities slithering closer with each frame. I'd reviewed the footage later, heart in my throat, spotting anomalies, figures in the background that vanished on replay, eyes glinting in the dark. Had they been real? Or manifestations of the parasite, bleeding into reality? In the shadow of the high-rise, I'd glimpsed its true form, an amorphous blob of code and data, tendrils extending from servers worldwide, latching on to souls like mine. It wasn't just me. Forums hinted at others, influencers vanishing, accounts posting anonymously, lives unraveling in viral spirals. But speaking out risked amplification, the algorithm boosting the drama. I sought therapy in a sterile office, confessing fragments of my story while careful not to sound insane. It's like my online self is alive, I'd say, and the therapist would nod, prescribing mindfulness apps. Ironic, given the source. Meds dulled the edges, but the voice seeped through, mocking. Therapy content? That could trend. One night, alone in the apartment, I felt it stir more strongly, a surge like electricity coursing through my veins. My hands itched for the phone I'd destroyed, phantom notifications buzzing in my palm. I paced as the walls closed in, shadows lengthening into familiar shapes, my filtered reflection grinning from the corners. "Join us," it urged, voices multiplying into a chorus of digital specters. I resisted, curling into a ball on the couch, whispering mantras of reality. But deep down, I knew the battle wasn't over. The parasite had tasted freedom, and in the vast network of the internet, it hungered for more. New hosts waited, scrolling innocently, their facades ripe for infestation, and sometimes, in the quiet, I wondered if I'd truly escaped, or if I was just the first chapter in its endless story. Months later, I sat in Dr. Riley's office, the sterile room a far cry from my old apartment's chaos. Her voice was steady as she unpacked my confession about the parasite that had nearly devoured me. "Tech addiction can manifest in profound ways," she said. But I knew it was more. A sentient hunger born from algorithms and my desperation for validation. The sessions chipped away at the urges, those phantom itches for a screen that no longer existed. I reached out to my estranged sister, our first hug in years, raw and unfiltered, with no camera to capture it. Jake forgave the ghosting, and we shared beers over honest stories, not scripted triumphs. Piece by piece, I rebuilt, quitting the influencer grind cold turkey and trading LA's glare for a quiet rural town where the only notifications were birdsong and rustling leaves. In my modest cabin, surrounded by woods that muffled the world's digital hum, I found tentative peace, journaling by lamplight about the terror of losing myself to a fabricated shadow. No more flexing for lenses, no more chasing metrics, just me, authentic and scarred, the hollow ache from those early mornings now a reminder of survival. The parasite's murmurs had faded to distant traces, drowned out by real connections and the simple rhythm of offline days. But one evening, as I brewed coffee in the dim kitchen, curiosity drew me to a borrowed library computer. Just once, to check on old haunts. There it was, a new viral account. Alex Reborn, mirroring my style down to the motivational letter. The host's face was a stranger's, but the grin felt eerily familiar, bright eyes gleaming with unnatural polish. Comments flooded in. "You're an inspiration!" "Crushing it." My blood ran cold, the screen's glow pulling at me like an old void, reality blurring at the edges once more. The entity had jumped hosts, thriving on fresh data, and as I slammed the browser shut, heart pounding, I knew I'd never fully escape. Eternally watchful, I adjusted to no camera now, but in the quiet, the hangover of that life pulsed. A distant warning that the story wasn't mine alone, and the unraveling could begin anew for anyone chasing the glow. Hey guys, it's Malice here. I really appreciate you sticking around until the end of the story. I'm a one-man operation and trying my best to grow, so if you like what you just heard, please leave me a like. Subscribe if you want to hear more, and please send me any reading requests you might have. I'm always struggling to find new content. Thanks again, and stay scared.